All right, glad to have you back. Nigeria's Employers Consultative Association and the Center for Promotion of Private Enterprise have commended the federal government for putting on hold the implementation of the Expartiate Employment Levy. But the government recently announced a $15,000 and $10,000 levy on companies employing expatriates as directors and staff, respectively. But several protests forced the government to announce on Friday that it had suspended the implementation of the levy. Well, let's get to understand really the pros and the cons of this planned initiative. And I'm being joined by the President, International Center for Tax Research and Development, a former chairman of Ogun State Inland Revenue Service, Mrs. Morenike Babington-Ashaye. Thank you so much. It's good to have you on the program, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me, Tolu.
Well, let's start with getting an understanding or a clear understanding of what the Expatriate Employment Levy means and how this can help the government shore up revenue, but it seems like it's another way for government to get some revenue.
Well, that is true. But what is important as far as any levy is concerned in generating revenue, your government must make sure that is it retaining that revenue or is that revenue going to be given away by another agency? What I mean by that is the fact that if it is a deductible expense, it means that the Federal Ministry of Interior will be collecting the money and the Federal Inland Revenue Service will be giving out the money back to the corporations. So when you look at both the minus and plus, at the end of the day, the government is not having anything. But critically, the expatriate employment levy is good because this is the only government that has entertained, that has listened to the cry that a lot of expatriates are in the employment that Nigerians are capable of doing. When you go to several organizations, you see finance director, you see in so many aspects of our economy, whether it is construction, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is consultancy, we have a lot of expatriates. And we have a lot of expertise in Nigeria that can fit into these positions. So anyone, we actually commend the Tinubu administration for being the first government over 40 years that have listened to the cry of the people that a government cannot bring in expatriates where Nigerians have the capabilities or they have the expertise. Now, when you look at the real deal of the EEL, I don't particularly agree that it is a financial contribution. I would have loved a situation where that levy would have been a penalty, because if it is a penalty, then it will not be deductible. It will not be taken by the Ministry of Interior and given out by Federal Inland Revenue Service. And the reason why it can be a penalty will be the fact that a company is insisting that I must bring my expatriates, whereas we have the expertise. So if we have the expertise, we have the experts in Nigeria, and a company or an organization, and even the government. Because when I look at the structure of the EEL, the Expatriate Employment Levy, if it is a penalty, there is no exemption, whether it is a consulate, whether it's a high commission, whether it's even government, because they put government officials there. Nobody will be exempted because it's going to be a penalty for you bringing in your experts instead of using Nigerian experts.
Like you identified, the unique selling point of EEL is that it seeks to discourage employers in the country from employing expatriates for roles which expertise is available in country. Yes. But how well has Nigeria for some time managed the issue of local content? I know in the oil and gas sector, a lot is being done to deepen indigenous participation. But how well are we doing in your understanding?
You see, the issue is that in this country, our ministries and agencies are not working together. For example, now the Federal Ministry of Interior has it been able to give to the National Assembly the statistics that yes, these expatriates are actually more than what we require. What is the statistic that we have to defend what they are doing at the moment? I know, basically you go to many organizations, you see them there, especially in the finance, construction and so on. But we should be able to defend with statistics. And ministries, agencies must work together. The Ministry of Labor over the years, it has been what one can call a desk operator, sitting down in the office doing nothing, not actually looking at the labor force. How do we bring about the needed labor force? A lot of our youth go to the university just doing whatever they like and not what the country needs. And that is what is important. The Ministry of Labor should have itemized the needs of the country and will go to universities to encourage them to speak with, even at secondary school level, this is the need of the country at the moment. And that is how we can build up our data on the expertise we are likely to have or the availability of our people in various sectors. So we need to work together. The Ministry of Labor has a lot of work to do. They have not been doing a lot as they should. They have a lot of work to do in analyzing what are the needs of various agencies, various private sectors, because they are supposed to supply labor for everybody. And if we are able to work together, by the time we are presenting to the National Assembly, we will be presenting with facts to the National Assembly. For example, now, if a senator is asked to defend this EL, it may not be in a position to defend it other than say that, we are trying to make sure that, Nigerians are in place, But there could be the truth that we lack expertise in certain areas. So I would say that we need to be working together, agencies, Ministry of Labor, the Ministry of Interior, the Immigration Service, everybody should be working together so that we don't just make pronouncements that we are going to jettison within few days.
Interesting stuff. But there seems to be no law for the imposition of the EEL at the moment. So how effective can this be finally imposed by government?
So it will not be effective. As a matter of fact, it is null and void. You see, one thing that I would like our legislators to please do their duty. They have to inform all agencies of government. Whatever you want to get approval for, let us know before you bring your budget, before you bring the finance bill. For example, now, the legislators have already approved how the government will source funds for implementing the 2024 budget. Nobody can just come out of nowhere and say, yes, if we do this, we're going to get revenue. No, you don't have approval of the legislators because this EEL now, we have to understand that companies plan. Let me just give you a small example there, Tolu. You see the disruption, a lot of losses that organizations are incurring now because of foreign exchange. It is because we don't have physical discipline. If we have it, it will not happen. IMF and World Bank cannot come to us when we have already presented to the National Assembly that dollar is going to be 794. And then the IMF and World Bank will just come and tell us, reduce. You can't do that within the fiscal year. It's not possible. So whatever EEL is brought now, they will have to wait because they have to present to the National Assembly. They have to convince the National Assembly that, yes, they want to implement this for these reasons. And the National Assembly will see along with them and approve it. So when they are bringing the 2025 finance bill, that is, bill that will be used to operate 2025 budget, they will put it inside that bill so that the legislators can approve it. I have said over time that discretionary powers in our laws, in our regulations, in our acts should be cancelled by the National Assembly, so that there's no minister, no commissioner will wake up one day and say, oh, that's the import duty, which is 10 naira, you are now going to be paying 100 naira. No, that shouldn't happen. Fiscal policy discipline is important. Once National Assembly has approved something, you can't do but to go along with what has been approved.
But now that the government has decided to review this directive, we see pressure from the likes of NASIMA, NECA, MAN, LCCI, all of them. We've seen press releases, we've seen comments all around. Now that this has happened, what do you make of the decision, particularly with the fact that Nigerians believe so much, like we've said, in some sectors, we surely need these expatriates?
Well, I think we have a listening government. That's a plus for the government. But this wouldn't have happened if it has been forwarded to the National Assembly. The National Assembly could have called the private sector, the organized private sectors, and asked about what they feel before it is passed into law. But now that they have decided to review, it is good. We have a listening government. But what is important is that this EEL, if it's going to happen, must be a penalty for not using Nigerian experts. Look at the construction industry. There's some, when government is talking about private PPP, there's some government, what do you call them now, private sectors that will come from abroad, and they will insist, even if it is building a house, they will bring all the employees, all the technical employees. That is why I said, if it's going to be a penalty, then nobody is going to be exempted. Not even any government official will be exempted. And that is the way it should be. For me, I think those who are saying that we need these expatriates, why should we continue to deceive ourselves? All these organized private sectors, if we know we need all these expatriates, why have they not gone to universities to contribute to expenses of the universities to bring about the kind of expertise we need? That is what is done abroad. When you know that we do not have certain expertise, you go to the universities, you can bring up a chair, you can contribute towards their expenses to make sure, because it will be liable in taxes. So that is what all these organized private sector should be doing. You cannot continue to be asking expatriates to come and work where Nigerians are available. How many of these countries allow our people to go and work the way expatriates come to work here? You see, we have to think about, how is it reciprocal? If we continue bringing people from US, how many people have, in the same capacity from Nigeria can go and work there? So we must balance. The private sectors, they have a duty to tell government when we need expertise. Oh, let us establish this discipline in this university. Let us establish this discipline in technical colleges. That is their role. And they can contribute as part of their own social responsibility.
Interesting stuff. Now, before I let you go, your candid advice to government, of course, government is looking for opportunities to generate more funds from the non-oil space to support government projects at this very critical time. So what would you be advising government to look at? FRS has an ambitious figure for the year 2024.
Well, Tolu, if we have to be frank and honest with ourselves, why is it difficult for government to look into all monies that have been embezzled by government officials, ministers, presidents, commissioners? The money is available there. They built houses. They bought houses outside the country. The government cannot be doing anything against what the legislators have approved now. So what they should look at is where the money is and where they can get the money out. You can imagine a public officer under Buhari telling us that she mistakenly stole 33 billion naira. Mistakenly, not 33 naira, or not 33,000 naira. She mistakenly stole 33 billion. So the money is there. That is where they should look at to recover all those losses in the hands of officials, ministers. We know that there are ministers who build houses in Dubai, who have so many houses in London, who have so many houses in US. This is where they should, all those unexplained income. That is where the government should look at now. And thank God the government is already working on certain issues, the one that is being covered by Obaise, which is good. That is where they should make sure that that money comes out. And also, those bank officials, those corporations that owed government money and they have not paid back, let the government run after them, please. We should not inconvenience people. We should not inconvenience organizations. Yes.
All right, I must thank you so much for your time. She's the president of International Center for Tax Research and Development, also a former chairman of Ogun State Inland Revenue Service. I've been speaking to Mrs. Morenike Babington-Ashaye, giving insights into issues around the Expartiate Employment Levy and what it means for Nigeria. Thank you so much. It's good to see you, man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Tolu. Thank you.
All right, let's